Hi guys, I'm up in the polytunnel and I was looking over my cactus collection and I've decided that I'm going to prune a couple of my plants and just toss the base. I have a couple plants that didn't over summer well, and my goal is not to bring in any plants, or especially the bigger ones, that don't look good, just to sort of restart them. But this was one of the plants. This was my original Whole Foods cactus plant. And I don't know if it's due to age or just the brutal heat of the summer, but the bottom big pad is looking really rough. So I'm going to do that with this plant. And then I also have already done it here with my Opuntia microdiasis. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But I had two plants that were looking quite rough at the bottom, but they had nice new pads on top. So I've gone ahead and cut those off with some clean scissors and dipped them in cinnamon. I have a little bowl of cinnamon here, and that's good to dip your cut ends into. It's an antifungal, helps keep it from rotting. But I'm going to let these cuttings dry for a few days and plant them later in the week. Going to go ahead and remove that good pad back there. And the other plant I wanted to do this to was my Trichocereus cuttings. I think the cuttings, I will probably keep these because I feel like they'll put more arms out, but I'm going to go ahead and take some of the babies, the new arms, and put them in a pot on their own. Okay, here are the cuttings I've ended up with. I have 3 of the San Pedro cactus babies, the Trichocereus pachinoi, and 1 nice healthy cutting of my mystery plant from Whole Foods, the Opuntia. It's definitely an Opuntia, but I'm not sure the type. And then I have several nice cuttings of the bunny ears cactus, the Opuntia microdiasis. And I'm going to come back in a few days when the ends are dry. All of them have been dipped in cinnamon. As I said, it's an antifungal. It'll help keep them from rotting. And I'm just going to pot those up in a few days once I can see that the ends have healed over and dried up. And then I'm going to put them in some dry soil for the winter. And hopefully in the spring they're going to send down some new roots and be a completely new plant. Now I did water all of these plants that I took cuttings from last week, so the cuttings themselves should be well hydrated. Okay, so here we are. It's been at least a week that I took these cuttings, and as you may recall, I dipped them in some cinnamon for an antifungal. And these are looking sufficiently dry enough for me to plant in some unwatered soil. So I'm going to go ahead, take my adorable cuttings, give them a chance at creating some nice, small, healthier plants than the plants I took cuttings from. So, and you know, the idea is coming away with healthier plants when you restart them this way, but also it's more of a space-saving idea as I get ready to think about bringing all my plants in for the winter. So let me show you what I'm going to use here. Last time I used chicken grit, and this time someone had recommended this to me. One of my viewers is using this as grit. This is oyster shell. So it's kind of it's almost like a rocky substance. Hopefully it's not going to change the pH too much. We'll see, but you know, it is a natural substance and it should provide a lot of drainage. Now I wanted to use fresh soil. I didn't have any cactus mix, which is probably much better draining than what I've chosen, but this is what I have at home, Jiffy seed starting mix. And I wanted to choose this because I did want it to be fresh soil, give my babies a good start, and you know, it does have coconut coir for drainage, and I'm going to do at least a 50% mixture between my grit and my soil mix. So let me get started here, and I'm going to make the soil mix first. I'm going to go ahead and put equal parts in here, and that will be my mix. This has a tiny bit of moisture, but I'm not too worried because these have healed over. I definitely, I'll repeat myself, will not be watering these because they are still fairly new cuttings, and the last thing you want is moisture around plants that haven't developed roots yet. So let me just say something about the timing of this. Early fall probably isn't the best time to do this, but like I said, I had some unhealthy looking plants, and I really don't want to bring unhealthy plants in and to a stressful situation for the winter. So this is why I'm choosing to do it now and not springtime, which is probably the best time to do any cuttings projects. But that being said, let's go ahead and do it. Now I did a 50-50 mix, but I have also added an extra scoop of the oyster shell. To me, this looks like a really good mix for cactus. A lot of grit and, you know, a little bit of soil, but mostly grit, and I feel like that's really going to be a good draining mix. So I've chosen this size pot. I feel like it'll give enough of weight to the plant that they won't fall over, but not too much soil around their roots, especially when you're rooting up cuttings. So you want it to be on the small side when you're doing that. And also in general with cactus, that's what I have learned, especially this summer when I potted down a lot of my plants. So let me get started. And I'm going to put these in here. They look so cute. And their ends have healed over. I forgot to bring my gloves for the Opuntia, so I'm just going to have to do what I can to protect myself. These aren't too bad. And I'm putting them about halfway down and just holding them together while I fill up here. And they may or may not have a chance to send out roots before they go dormant for the winter. But either way, they should be fine because cactus have storage tanks for moisture. So there we go. First one done. Easy as that. I have a really cute little San Pedro cactus assortment there. And I took the best cuttings. There were 4, but one just did not look good. So like I said, I'm taking the cream of the crop and restarting my little plants. So first one is done, and the oyster shell is giving it a nice weight so that I know it won't tip over. And then the second one I'm doing here is my mystery Opuntia. This was from the pad that I got at Whole Foods. It was a large pad, but as you saw earlier in the video, it's really looking quite ragged now. So I took the healthiest pad that had grown off of it, and I'm going to go ahead and fill up my pot here and tuck this in. And hopefully, this is quite tall, hopefully this is going to be enough weight. I'll be doing some cleaning up after this video. Hopefully this is enough weight to keep it upright. I'm aiming to do this without any type of staking. But there we go. Second one done, and I'd actually like to see more oyster shell on the top of that. Got some soil, too much soil I think. I'm going to add a little bit more just to make sure that, you know, we've got plenty of drainage. Okay, second one done. There we go. And for the last one, it's my Opuntia microdiasis cuttings. And it looks like I need to make more of a mix. Oh, here we go. Looking for my scooper. Okay, so I'll do 1 scoop of each and see if that's enough. There we go. A little bit more of the grit. I'm calling it grit, even though it's the oyster shell. It's for my purposes, it's what I'm considering to be the grit. Let me know if you guys have used oyster shell with your cacti collection to provide drainage. I'd be interested to see what your results were. And here we go, and I'm going to get covered with prickles. I think I need to just fill this up. And I need some more of this. There we go. And I'm just going to pop these in. down into the soil. Make sure that the bottom of that plant has plenty of contact with my mix. And hopefully it'll be a good start. Let me see how many I can fit in here. I'll use the best ones. I used to try to save everything, guys, but honestly, I've learned, especially when you have a big collection, it's really best to save the healthiest of your cuttings, because you do risk making your other plants sick when you allow sickly plants that refuse to be treated. Sometimes plants are resistant to treatment, so you're better off just keeping the healthiest plants in your collection. If you've given it a try and it hasn't worked, these are a little bit harder to keep upright. We'll see how that goes. But let me see here. Put a few more of these in. As you can see, they're a little bit top heavy. So I'll have to work on that. There we go. And I'm going to anchor them in, I think, with some more oyster shell, just to keep them upright. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how the plants do. If I'm hopeful that the plants that I planted up with the chicken grit and with this oyster shell will do equally as well. We shall see. This is quite an experiment. All right, and I think I am done. Just gonna put some. It's all down in the soil, and now I'm just gonna prop these little top-heavy cuttings up with some grit. I'm just adding extra grit, and there's room on top of that on this particular one. And oyster grit does provide some calcium for your plants. It does let off calcium when you do water it, the dust. So hopefully that'll be taken up by the plant and beneficial. We shall see. So don't take my word for it just yet, guys. This is an experiment that I hope I can give you some positive results on. Okay, I think my cuttings are all ready, and they're in there, and that looks much better than the ailing pads that I had on the original plant. I'm much happier with the way that looks, and it hasn't even rooted in. All right, there we go. All set. There it is, looking much better and much healthier. And let's hope for the best as far as it rooting in. Much cuter. Okay, so guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Here are my new plant babies. And I'm finishing this video just in time for the air conditioner to turn on. So thanks for being my plant friend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.